Hey there guys, and welcome to the second video on Rogue Trader, the TTRPG. I don't think I said any of that in the first video. But yeah, the TTRPG game based on the 40k universe. Great game. First things first. Sorry, I don't know why I was like, oh, great game, yeah. I love GMing, Rogue Trader especially, but 40k in general. And I actually have never played a game myself as a player. I've always been GM. There aren't that many GMs for 40k apparently, and so every time someone's like, "Hey, do you want to play Rogue Trader?" I'm like, "Yeah, that is finally brilliant." And then like, "You're GMing," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am." Okay. Anyway, enough of my complaining. We are going to do the starship building this time. A lot of fun. It's something I can do just by itself. For like every now and then, I'll just build a starship, build a ship for a crew that doesn't exist, and be like, I'd love to fly the ship one day, and I never will. Anyway, so this gives you an idea of what they look like. They're very kind of like gothic. They're very like churchy in a way, which is really interesting. A lot of the stats and stuff for the ship, unlike the character, are kind of abstract because you literally have like a crap ton of turrets. You have to shoot down like fighters and torpedoes. You have like a huge array of cannons on the side of it. Some of them are just regular projectiles. Some of them are plasma cannons. You've got like lances, which are like huge guns that fire just a beam of laser energy, basically. So like if you were to roll for every gun you were firing, you never end the first battle. Session 7, you'd still be firing your first volley of guns. So it's represented in kind of an abstract way. So that gives you an idea of what a ship kind of looks like. I think they show a bit more later on. So let's go through the characteristics of a ship. Most of them will be self-explanatory, like the previous video. Also, incidentally, for those of you who haven't seen the first video, I guess, I'm going to be GMing a campaign of Rogue Trader on Metamancer's channel on Twitch. It'll be kind of, for those of you who are UK or kind of Europe based, it's kind of midnight area. It's about 3 hours. Like, if you can't catch it live, you'll be able to catch it on YouTube, which a lot of people do, because people who watch me more often than not are there's quite a lot of US based as well, but there's a lot of Europe based too. So, and there's probably like one dude in Australia who's like, yeah, I'll watch a video once or twice. I'm not going to do an accent. So, speed, maneuverability, detection, void shields, armor, hull integrity, power generation, components, turret rating, weapon capacity, and SP, which is ship points. So, speed is how fast the ship moves. Maneuverability is how quickly it turns. Detection is basically like perception, I guess, for a character. Like, it's spotting enemy ships. Sometimes they can hide in clouds of the void. Sometimes they can hide behind a planet, or this kind of thing. Void shields are interesting. They're basically a shield around the ship that cancel out attacks, and it takes time for them to come back up. So if an enemy ship hits you 3 times and you have a void shield, that will stop 1 attack. Basically how that works. Armor is a much better protection for a ship. It basically cancels out certain amounts of damage. Hull integrity is like the last bit of your ship. If you lose your hull integrity, I believe that's when you just break up and explode. So yeah, how reinforced the ship's interior is, how much damage it can take before breaking up. Isolated components, reinforced bulkheads, blast doors, that kind of thing can increase hull integrity. Power generation is how much power your ship produces that can run things like void shields and weapons that require power. Components is basically different things in your ship, like guns are a component. Your deck is a component. We'll get through to this, but just know that it's different kind of like modules that you can put in your ship. Turret rating is an abstract representation of how many defensive turrets it has. They're short-range weapons for shooting down small attack craft and torpedoes. So your turret rating will go towards your defense in certain things, like when torpedoes get shot at you, or when they try and board you and fuck you up old school. Weapon capacity is the locations of where your ship can have guns. And then ship points is how many ship points the whole component or upgrade costs. So if you watch the last episode, you'll know that you have profit factor and ship points. And you can have high profit factor, low ship points, low profit factor, high ship points, and it kind of, there's a scale. If you have high ship points, you can afford a higher class of ship. Like instead of a frigate, you can have a light cruiser, and then the ships get higher in ridiculousness as you go on. You also have like little raider ships as well, which are very fast and maneuverable. Or you have like battle cruisers, which are slow and turn really slowly and can take a lot of damage and have a lot of guns. Representing and general characteristics. Yeah, so some of the characteristics, like crew, will be represented by numbers, like percentages. So you can start with like 90% crew, because some ships have 100,000 plus crew. So you know it'd be difficult to keep track of how many you lose and stuff like that. Transports, raiders, frigate, these are all the different types. Light cruisers, cruisers. In other books, there's like battle cruisers and higher. They're battleships, battle cruisers. Those vessels are very rare and belong beyond the resources of all but the most affluent rogue traders and aren't covered in this book. Cruisers are like the thing that you'd aim for, but you know, like taking a light cruiser or a frigate is probably the best choice, because if you take like a cruiser, even with the most ship points, you're not really going to be able to afford much to put in it. So, parts of the ship, this is components. You've got hull, plasma drives. The plasma drives are basically the like thrusters. And you got warp drives, which send you through the warp. You got the void shields, talked about that. Geller fields protect you from the warp. If you don't have a Geller field, demons appear on your ship and kill you. So Geller field, it's needed. Life sustainer, that's like air pumping and that kind of thing. Crew compartments is where you keep your crew. Bridge is where the command pit is, basically, you know, all the important people will be there. Sensors is, you know, dealing with sensing stuff, other ships, asteroids, things like that. So, when we're making a ship, the first thing we need to do is to know how much profit factor and how many ship points we have. What I'm gonna go with is I think I'll probably go with like 40 profit factor and 60 ship points, but I'm not going to be too restrictive. You know, we'll see what we go with. But I think what we'll go with is just a simple frigate. So you can see some of the ships here, like what they look like. You see it kind of around this area here. You can see their guns. You can see like there's a gun on the side of that one. On the front there. It depends what ship you have, but you can see, for example, we have the Havoc class merchant raider. This is a raider like geared more towards like storage as well. It has a dorsal and it has one dorsal and one prow weapon capacity. That means that you can fit a gun on the top of it and on the front of it. So maybe you could have like macro batteries, kind of turrets that fire big like projectiles, And then on the front you can have like a lance weapon, so you can kind of charge in and then do some damage like that. Personally, I do have a tendency to enjoy the port and starboard weapons. Like on the light cruisers, you can see here, like you'll have a battery of guns just on the side, so you can kind of do like a drive-by on them and fire with these. But I find starting off, it's good to have like dorsal prow weapons, you know, on the top or on the front, because it means like where you're pointing is where you can shoot. So to give you an idea of the size of like the frigates I'd say is where it starts with kind of Imperial Navy and stuff like that. So the kind of raiders, the small ships, are like 1.6 kilometers long, 0.4 kilometers a beam, 6 megatons approximately, 24,000 crew approximately, acceleration 5 gravity max sustainable acceleration, and then you got like their kind of speed and maneuverability, hull integrity, turret rating, etc. So let's go with a frigate. Let's go with the Tempest strike frigate. I think it's a bit less maneuverable, but it's a little more armored. It's got a little more space. The ship points are the same. Its turret rating isn't quite as good, but let's go with the Tempest. So, where is the? Oh god, this is just. Incidentally, I'm not a fan of this setup. I seem to remember it being a little bit like okay, so we won't worry about ship stuff, but what we're going to do is we're going to go with Tempest class, Tempest, and then the hull is frigate. Is that? Yeah, hull is frigate, right? Hull. It's not hull integrity, is it? Wait, maybe it is hull integrity. No, there's the hull integrity. Okay. So yeah. It's a Tempest, it's a frigate in the Tempest class. Speed, let's go through this. So speed is 8. So for example, like the speed on the Havoc class Merchant Raider is 9. Most likely, if they're like trying to escape and you're chasing them, you'll keep being able to shoot at them. It doesn't mean, you know, if you can't kill them or like disable their engines or something, then they're eventually going to outrun you. Just FYI. Detection plus 12. Armor 19. Turret rating is 1. Hull integrity is 36. So 36 out of 30. That's space available. Okay, so there we go. As I said, it's annoying because it's like this is total, this is current, and there's space available, power available. It confuses me. Okay, so turret rating, armor. Did we do space? We've got to do shields and maneuverability. We have maneuverability plus 18. Okay, so maneuverability is plus 18. I'm not going to go into the technicalities of like what exactly maneuverability, you know, like the roles and everything. You can read up on that if you want. Basically, higher plus more is better because it means you turn more when you want to turn. You know, so you'll say like, we want to turn to the left, and then, you know, depending on your maneuverability is how quickly you turn, and depending on your speed, you know, you can kind of like slow down, but you're still gonna keep going forward, and yeah. So do we need space? So space is 42, SP is 40. So space is 42. Space used 0. Power available, we'll get to that. Then we got like the macro batteries and all this kind of thing, which we'll also do. So, complications. Now here's the fun stuff. Okay, so it's roll on a d10. Oh, sorry. Yeah, roll on d10. So machine spirit. We're not going to go hello, Mr. Ship. We're not going to go into too much detail of like machine spirit and stuff, but basically all the complicated machinery in Warhammer 40k has a machine spirit. They are like, think of it like a kind of ghost AI almost. And we're going to see what our machine spirit oddity is. So there's something odd about it. What is it? We rolled a 9. This means it's adventurous. The vessel is eager to seek new horizons, to turn its bow from civilization and delve into darkness of the unknown. When participating in an endeavor, the ship gains +10 detection. When not participating in an endeavor, it suffers -10 detection. So, endeavors, yeah. So it's adventurous. Now, myself personally, I tend not to worry about endeavors too much. So what like depending on how, and I'll obviously speak to my players for the Metamancer game when we do it, but I tend to find endeavors are for when you want like a more focused path, as opposed to what I find really interesting about Rogue Trader is just finding your own story and this kind of thing. Like I can they're almost like quests, the endeavors, right? I think it was an attempt to have like a more mapped out way to play. But when you're playing with like experienced role players and experienced gamers, I don't think you need that. I think the players can kind of map out their own story, and I find myself personally, I don't always want people to go down my path. Especially with Rogue Trader, I think it's much more interesting if you build like a whole load of worlds, you build like a whole load of possibilities and storylines, and the players just stumble into them. Maybe occasionally you'll have like a big bad Rogue Trader who they're fighting against. But other times, shit just happens, and I find sometimes it's more interesting for shit to just happen. It was in Void Barons, like the last show of Rogue Trader I GM'd. So I don't know. It's my own personal opinion. I'd say probably what I'd take from this is the plus 10 detection. Maybe you take off like a piece of armor or something like that. Just say so you always have that plus 10 detection. But you also have like it's adventurous. It's taken a few hits. This kind of thing, and then obviously you've got stuff like ancient and wise. You get -4 in hull integrity, but +10 bonus to maneuver actions. Skittish. It fears battle. You get some interesting stuff there, and I like the randomness of it because it creates a character for your ship. Where I didn't do that right. Roll 1d10. Roll a 5. So this is for past history. Like this is the history of the ship. So what did I roll? A 4? 5. Damn. 4 is wolf in sheep's clothing, which means it's got like a secret compartment. Very often, if I have a crew who know what they want to be, like if they want to be pirates, I accept them being like, yo, can we just have wolf in sheep's clothing? Because it fits the narrative we already have. But if you don't have like defined characters when you build your ship, very often it builds your characters for you. Like this one has a turbulent past. Over the years, the ship has been used to perform deeds dastardly to some and heroic to others. The GM selects a social group: pirates, heretics, Imperial Navy, Inquisition, or inhabitants of an important locale like Footfall. Footfall is in the main game. It's like the main kind of, it's in the Coronis Expanse map, which we won't be playing with. I'm crafting my own entire area with random planets and stuff. So yeah, there's a whole lot of places you don't want to go on that in this already. All ships' crew suffer a -10 to social skills when interacting with that group. The GM then selects a second group naturally opposed to the fleet. All ships' crew gain +20 social skills when interacting with that group. So, say for example, your crew is pirates. You know, they want to do piracy, they want to like fuck with stuff and just be rogues. Then they'd probably choose like the Imperial Navy maybe, or they probably wouldn't choose the Inquisition because no one's going to choose the Inquisition. But yeah, maybe they choose the Imperial Navy or something like that, and then you as the GM will be like, well, they should get +20 with pirates to interaction with pirates. So that kind of thing. So yeah, this would have turbulent past as well. We'll set turbulent past, and we'll give it a +20 social interaction SI with pirates and -20 with Inquisition. Because we're not going to have to play as this crew, let's be fun and have probably the only people to ever choose -20 with the Inquisition. You can have stuff like a death cult, finances in arrears, Xenophilius. If you get Xenophilius, and you're trying to repair the ship, or certain parts of the ship especially, you have to have Forbidden Law Xenos, otherwise you get a penalty to it. And yeah, you actually start with a Xeno, like an alien component in your ship if you want, which is kind of cool. I like Xenophilius. Okay, so ship as character, you got like the plasma drives and the warp engines. So what we have currently, we need a plasma drive. This is what's going to like power our thrusters. So the Jovian Pattern Class 2 is for raiders and frigates. We're a frigate. It generates 45 power. So I wonder if we can just copy it. I hope we can just copy it, but I'm not sure. Oh, we can. Beautiful. Okay. So, Jovian for frigates. Let's just have a look at this. So, 45 generated power. Don't do that. So, we'll take the frigate part away, because we know it's for frigates. And then we'll do this. Power is 45. Yeah, it's 45. And then the 10, I think, is how much space. Yeah, so it takes up 10 space. Space is 10. I don't know why the power is all in capitals. I was already holding the shift key, basically. So what this will do is now we are using 10 space. And the power available is 45, and the power used is 0 now. So, wonderful. Now what we need to do is we need a warp engine. Again, we only really have one choice of warp engine. That's the Strelov warp engine here. So, we'll add this in. We'll take out this. And then we'll just copy this, I guess. So power is going to be 10. Space is going to be 10. So what this does is it takes away 10 from here, so we're now on 20 out of 42, and power is going to be 10. So we used 10 power, we've used 10 more space for our warp engine. Then we've got the Gellerfields. We've got standard Gellerfield, or a warp-spane hull. Now if we go up here, there it is. The entire hull of the vessel is covered with silver, pardon me, hand-inscribed hexagrammic wards. These reinforce a Gellerfield projected from a 15-meter statue of Imperial Saint located just for the bridge. Basically what this does is navigation tests to pilot through the warp, get a +10 when rolling on the warp travels. The GM rolls twice and allows the navigator to choose which result is applied. So warp travel encounters 199. Okay. For example, reality erosion, very fabric of the vessel is altered, walls might melt, statues and pictures come to life, gravity itself may become twisted. That's just to give you an idea. Whoops, 199. That's the kind of stuff that can happen to your ship while you go through the warp. So being able to roll twice and choosing which one is quite nice. We're not going for that. We're just going to go for a regular Gellerfield. So Gellerfield is 1 power, 0 space. You can see here, if you choose the Warp Bane as well, it's 1 power, but and it's also +2 ship points. So, yeah. I don't know if that's taking the ship points away from you, or... I'm actually not sure. Okay, so Gellerfield is 1 power, so that takes us to 11. Doesn't use up any space, which is really quite nice. I bet you were probably thinking like, oh, that's the wrong place. Gellerfield. Gellerfield. Power. Well, I don't know why I keep doing that. Okay. So, next thing up is the Void Shields. Cruisers can have multiple Void Shields. Everyone else just has single. I guess you could probably put in 2 single Void Shields. Let's just check on that, because it's not something that's ever come up really. I think it's one of those. A single double-layered Void Shield provides 1 Void Shield. Yeah, and the multiple Void Shield array provides 2 Void Shields. I guess, let's have a look. How much, sorry, it's down here. So it takes up 5 power and 1 space. You could totally have more than 1 Void Shield on your ship. Yeah. We'll just take 1 for now. Void Shield. How much power and space does it take? 5 power, 1 space. Okay, so power 5, space 1. So that will take us to 16 and to 21. Yeah, probably with the first couple, like the drive and the warp engine, you're thinking like, wow, this is getting filled up quickly. It's not that bad. There are things that take up a lot of space and power and stuff, but for now, we're okay. So we do need a bridge. We do need life sustainers and crew quarters. And we need auger array as well. So what we're just gonna do is like basically like you've got the command bridge on raiders and frigates take some power. They give a few things. If you look here, like the command bridge, as long as the bridge remains undamaged, all command tests made by the captain gain +5, and all ballistic skills to fire shipboard weapons gain +5. If the component ever suffers a critical hit, it becomes unpowered on a D10 on a roll of 3 or higher. So you know you can choose different bridges depending on what you want. Tech uses for the combat bridge. Tech uses to repair the ship, gain +10. I think probably what we'd go for is Shipmaster's bridge to fit in with the adventurous. You know, being used as like a... Yeah, no, it makes sense. Piloting and navigation tests by the crew on the bridge gain +5. And ballistic tests to fire shipboard weapons gain +10. It's quite good. So we'll go, if we can. I just need to double check that we can. Shipmaster... yeah, it's cruisers only. Bugger. Okay, so let's go with the... I guess... we'll just go with the command bridge. That's fine. It's not too much of a thing. So, power 2, space 1. Command bridge. I'm just gonna go like... we're gonna simplify this so it's not too much of a thing. So power 2 takes us to 18. Space 1 takes us to 22. All of these things are essential components, and then you get onto like the extra stuff. So all of these you have to take 1. So the life sustainer, the difference is basically like morale and stuff like that. Like the crew's going to be upset if you don't give them nice kind of like life sustaining or like nice quarters. But for now, we'll just go with the for the M1 life sustainer, 3 power, 1 space. So this is a 3, and a 1. There we go. So 3 power takes us to 21. This takes us to 23. And you can see here, like, the command bridge, the life sustainer, for as opposed to the Vitae pattern life sustainer. It takes a bit more power, it takes a bit more space. It gives you bonuses to your crew, like morale and things like that, but it means you can't fit as much in your ships, so it's kind of, you know, a bit of give and take. And same with crew quarters here. We're just going to go with depressed crew quarters, but in reality, if you make a ship, you may want better stuff for your crew. You know, depending. Maybe you don't. So pressed crew quarters. Oh, I didn't even do that right. Is 1 and 2. Okay. Oh, for God's sake, just. Okay. You know what? I'll just type it. It's fine. I'll just type it. Pressed crew is, I can't remember now because I got upset with not being able to. 1 and 2. Okay, so 1 and 2. So it takes up 1 power, puts us to 22. That feels wrong, but okay. And it's now 25 because it takes 2 space. Then we have the auger array. Different auger arrays. So external. Increased power draw provides a +5 bonus to the ship's detection. So, like, the standard auger array is for scanning ships and asteroids and even planets, maybe. And then you got extra stuff. So this multi-band one, mapping protocols provide +5 bonus to maneuver tests to avoid celestial phenomena, but is less for the ship's detection. When working towards exploration objective, they earn an additional 50 achievement points. Again, yeah. Ship exceptional sensitivity array grants +10. I'm losing my voice a little bit, sorry. +10 to ship's detection. We'll just go with the standard one, so 3 power. Auger. And that's 3 power. Put a 0 there. I don't need to, but yeah, I feel better by doing it for whatever reason. So that's all the basic stuff. Now you've got supplemental components, for example, our weapons. So, here you can see basically, and I'll go into a little bit of the mechanics because it's useful to know when creating a ship, so I'll include this. Power, space, and ship points, all very obvious. That's, you know, stuff you're gonna have to spend. Strength, you can see down. You know what? Let's just zoom in a little bit to make it easier for you guys to see. Damn it! I went too far. There we go. Okay, there we go. So you can see the Thunderstrike macro cannons take up 2 power, 2 space. They are 1 SP. They're 3 strength. Their damage is 1d10 +1. Their crit rating is 6, and their range is 4. Range is probably pretty obvious. So, for example, our ship can move 8, which means the range of 4, you know, it's not like a massive range. The damage is fairly obvious. The crit rating, I believe, is... Oh, God damn it, I don't know for sure. We'll have to look that up. But the strength is how many times it can hit. So depending on your number of successes, that's how many times you can hit. So that's how many times you roll your damage, your 1d10 +1. And I believe crit rating is it can't be how many hits you need to do things. But anyway, you basically have the macro cannons, different types. You've even got like laser batteries, which is a whole load of like lasers instead of like the macro cannons are kind of yeah. Let's let them say. Macro batteries are ranks of massive cannons or other weapons fired in volley to overwhelm an enemy in a barrage of destruction. So the Thunderstrike macro cannons are an older version of the Mars pattern, most often found on transports. You've got the Mars pattern macro cannons, reliable, hard-hitting weapons firing kiloton ordnance mounted along the vessel's dorsal ridge. So that's kind of on the top or on the broadside. So anything that says broadside, like this Mars pattern macro cannon broadside, they have to be on the port or starboard. So we've got a frigate with like dorsal weapons. We can't actually use them, but we can use things like the Sunseer laser battery, or even the Riser pattern plasma battery, which is plasma weapons. Then things like the lance weapons, I believe. Let's take this back up. Yeah, so some of these lance weapons can only go on the prow. It looks like these can go anywhere. The Titan Forged Lance battery, I think, is on the sides, and it can only go on light cruisers and cruisers. But you can definitely have a lance. What we'd probably do, seeing as we've got quite a lot of power and a decent amount of space, something that we might do is get the plasma battery on the, there we go. Yeah. So we might have them on like the dorsals on the top as the dorsal weapon, and then we'd have like on the prow we'd have like a lance weapon for kind of just you know, a little bit of penetration, I believe, is the lance weapons. No, the lance weapons are they only hit like once, but they've got a good range. They don't have great strength. Okay. So the other stuff that we can get is like some of this stuff is like working towards a trade objective, and these are the missions that I was talking about before. What I'd very likely do is I'd give them a different bonus. If for example the players for the next Rogue Trader game, if they're not interested in having this kind of like objective based thing where you're always working on an endeavor, you can actually be like, okay, luxury passenger quarters do this, main cargo hold does this, you know, it lets you hold more stuff, it gives you a bonus to certain things, you know, all that kind of stuff. So like the barracks, for example, when working towards a military objective, the players earn an additional 100 achievement points towards completing that objective. If the ship is transporting troops, it gains plus 20 to all command tests involving boarding actions and hit and runs. What I'd probably do there is just give their troops like better gear, basically. You know, like instead of standard las guns, maybe like a fen. Maybe they would be able to call on troops with like probably not bolters, but like maybe like hotshot las guns or something like that. Like they can have a squad of those guys available to them as like bodyguards and stuff like that. And then you got things like the retro thrusters give +5 to the ship's maneuverability. These are like thrusters on the sides and things like that, so they can kind of turn quicker. Reinforced bulkheads adds +3 to integrity, and then you can see here you've got the Thunderstrike. No? Oh yeah. So these are the weapons. This is how much power and space they take up, and all that kind of thing. So let's do it. Let's take the Riser pattern plasma weapon. So 1d10 +4. Oh god, so we have one dorsal and one prow. And then, so we have a macro battery, and it's Riser. The damage is 1d10 +4. The strength is 4, the crit rating is 4, range is 5. So 5 and 4 and 4. There we go. And this is going to be on the dorsal. And then we can add another one, which is going to be a lance weapon. And it's going to be on the prow, which is like facing out the front. And we'll take the buggery bollocks. We'll take the Titan Forge Lance. So we'll call it. It'll be here. It'll be the Titan Forge. Okay. The strength is 1. It's 1d10 plus 4. So 1d10 plus 4. The range is 6. And the crit is 3. Okay, so crit is 3, range is 6. So, what this means, like, you may think, like, range 5, range 6, there's not too much difference. There is actually quite a lot of difference in that range, because of the, you know, the abstract numbers I'm talking about again. So, it does the same amount of damage, the strength isn't as good, the crit isn't as good, but it's facing, like, straight forwards. So yeah, it's a nice weapon. You could maybe have like some macro cannons or something down there, I guess. But generally, people take a lance on the prow, and then yeah. So let's do this where we have the. I'm not going to write them all down because this video is going to take even longer than the last one if I do. So let's just write out the things very quickly. So power 8, space 4, power 8, 33. Yeah. Space 4, so 29. There we go. And there are also ship points as well, which we're not really doing. But if you have a look at all the necessary ones, some of them add a couple of ship points, which basically means that, you know, you have a few extra ship points to spend. All of these like extra stuff here, they cost ship points. So, for example, if you have like 40 profit factor and 60 ship points, and then we go back up to here, this frigate that I bought costs 40 ship points, so I have 20 ship points left to spend on my ship, just so you know. So, you know, yeah, it does mean like you can get a few extra ship points as you buy these things, like the Lathe Pattern Class Drive gives you a +1 ship point. The Warp Spain Hull gives you a couple. Command Bridge gives you a couple. Gives you 1. But once you get to here and you start buying like the Riser Plasma Battery, cost 2 ship points as opposed to all the others that cost 1. The Lances cost a bit more ship points as well. So, like the nice stuff costs more ship points. Usually means you can afford less stuff. Titan Forge Lance, 9 and 4. Okay, so 9 and 4. So, did I do this? This is the problem with not writing it down. I don't know if I did this. I don't think I did, which means 43? No, that can't be. Have we already almost used all of our power? Maybe we should take the Starbreaker. Okay, well, yeah, this is what using good weapons and stuff gets you. So 43 and 4, so 29, 34. I think that's right. Sorry, my maths is not very good, and it's been a long day. So, you know, if I got it wrong, the important point is I'm showing you how to do this. So like. Things like reinforced interior bulkheads would be a good choice, because it will use up some of our space without using up any of our power. So like armor plating, armor prow, well, we can't do armor prow because cruisers. Tenebro Maze is a very good one to have. It makes it harder for people to board you and to do damage. You've got extended supply vaults, so let's have a look at these. We won't choose any of these. There are also some Xenotech stuff. You can get like a shard cannon battery, which is Eldar technology. Basically, yeah, it's a hell of a thing. Yeah, there's also some Archaeotech components like a Teleportarium, which lets you teleport troops directly onto their ship for hit and run maneuvers. You got like an observation dome, which gives you increased morale by 1, cures claustrophobia, and when working towards an exploration objective, you get additional achievement points. You've got murder servitors, which are basically robot servants who are designed to kill. You can use them as hit and run type, you know, for boarding and stuff like that. Yeah, you've got a temple to the God Emperor, Munitionarium, crew reclamation. It means you lose less crew population, all that kind of thing. Tenebro maze. Interior of the ship is a maze or passageway. Blind compartments, triple sealed pressure hatches. Boarding parties become lost, so it gains +10 to all command tests when defending against boarding actions and hit and run actions. So yeah. It does have the downside, I think. When a component on the ship is selected to be affected from a critical hit, it is chosen by the ship's controller, not the attacker. Oh, that's actually really good. It basically means the ship is so hard to figure out like what's where that you get to choose what takes a critical hit. Okay, so yeah, that's all the kind of ship building stuff. You got some of these things, and then you can see kind of like a setup. Some basic setups. So let's see if we've got a frigate wayfarer station. Here's an example. Here's an example frigate. So it's a modified Firestorm class naval frigate. It's 1.8 kilometers long, 3.3 kilometers abeam, and then it's about 6 megatons, 25,500 crew. 4.4 gravities max acceleration. It's a lot like ours, but it's got warp engines, Gellerfield, the drive. It's got a void shield, a command bridge, life sustainers, voidsman quarters, the auspexes for scanning, and then it's got a dorsal Sunseer laser battery, so that's on the top, and then on the prow it's got a Titan Forged lance. Compartmentalized cargo hold, reduced and reinforced interior bulkheads, and luxury passenger quarters. And then it's got its complications and stuff as well. So yeah, that's like I think we've got a little bit of time. That gives you an idea of how to build the ship, and I like to include a lot of the other kind of like extra books. Which kind of flesh out shipbuilding and stuff like that. Gives you the option for some like battle cruisers and battleships, which you can't start with, but it's always nice to be able to have them as an option, like in the future, as you get more powerful. Because ship combat can be a lot of fun, and having like a super duper big ship can be a lot of fun as well. Depends where things go. Like, sometimes it's interesting when you lose your ship and you have to kind of, you know, organize to get a new one and like make deals and all that kind of thing. You can go wherever with it. But yeah, so basically what I wanted to show you guys was the damage stuff that we were talking about, because I'm not sure about the crit rating. And I feel like that's important enough. These are all like the maneuvers you can make, so like... So you get to, as a team of players, you get to do different things. So a character can perform a hit and run like action on the ship, which allows the character to raid an enemy ship, sabotage it, and then retreat. So you have to pilot a spacecraft. Generally, you take others with you, and you go and do that. So that's the kind of thing you can do, you know. Or you can organize and arm a portion of the crew, prepare to repel boarders, and you can fight off any attempts by the enemy to hit and run you or to board you. There's a whole load of stuff like triage. You make a Medicaid test and you reduce damage to crew population, like all that kind of stuff. It is a lot of fun. So here you see the kind of like where you fire from, port, starboard, fore, aft, like the kind of the firing arcs you get as well. So strength is the maximum number of hits a macro battery or lance can land on an enemy ship. Damage is the damage each hit deals. Crit rating is the number of successes the shot must have to score a critical hit on the target. Okay. Firing, this determines which direction a starship weapon may be fired in, and range is the range of the weapon. Starship weapons may be fired at targets no further away than twice the weapon's range. It gets a lot more difficult to hit them from further away, which obviously means, you know, you have less chance of a critical hit happening. So let's see, damage and defenses. Yes. Following is critical hit. So this is what happens with a critical hit. Hold, if you roll a 1, a lucky hit has wrenched open the ship's hull, exposing it to space. The attacker selects one component, only choosing ones he knows of, that is not the bridge or plasma warp drives. Emergency bulkheads slam into place, seal off the compartments, but this component is depressurized. So they'd have to put on like void suits to go in and fix it. And you got like sensors damaged, fire, decapitation. I think that does damage to the crew. And you got hull breach, catastrophic damage. You've got Space Hulk, plasma drive explosion, warp drive explosion. It's all terrible shit. But what that means basically is, so I'm seeing it flash in my recording as I'm scrolling back up. So let's go back to our weapons that we were using, that we were thinking about using. There we go. Okay, so it's got the damage. So let's say our rogue trader is firing the riser pattern plasma battery. Now the crit rating is 4, which means you need 4 or more successes to get a critical hit. So strength is 4, damage is 1d10 plus 4. I'm not 100% sure on the hits. So let's just go back to combat and look at that. Shooting actions. Okay, so yeah, that's the actions you can make. Saber is close on enemy. Gun and ballistic skill is 48, and the ship is at close range, giving a further plus 10. He fires the macro battery, rolls a 29. He has hit successfully with 2 degrees of success, meaning a total of 3 hits. Okay, so once the void shield is taken, if the attacker combines the... Sorry. I should have read up on this before, but it's something where I was like, I've done this before, so I know it. But when you do like multiple different systems, multiple different games, sometimes stuff just comes out a bit. So void shield's function. Once they've reduced their strength and hits, they overload and shut down. Any remaining hits and any further shots by attacking ship will also hit the target unimpeded by the void shields. Damage of multiple macro batteries. Again, the attacker chooses which hits are discarded by the void shield. Okay. So, it looks like... This is, again, the problem with, like, some of these systems, is it often assumes knowledge that's in a different area. So... Port and starboard weapons... Oh, goddamn. This is really, really sensitive. Shots of... when firing mode, a successful roll scores 1 hit, plus an additional hit for each degree of success, to maximum of the macro battery strength. Okay, so that was what I thought it was, at least. I'm not completely dumb. Just mostly. So what we'll do is we will roll our rogue trader. That's not our rogue trader. That's still Mr. Ship. There we go. So we'll roll his. So to use this, we'll pretend it's at like close range or something. So we'll take a plus 10. There we go. So we rolled 0.3 degrees of success, which means we get 1 hit. And because the other ship will have at least 1 void shield, it means that that will be cancelled out. However, we get another attack. Let's pretend that's a hit. Don't worry. Let's pretend that's a hit. So that was our... So we fired first with our macro battery. We got 1 hit, cancelled by the void shield. We also, let's say one of the other crew members is firing with the lance, the Titan Forged lance weapon. That means that we now get to roll 1d10. Roll 1d10 plus 4. And we did 8 damage. And then that will be cancelled a bit by the... that'll be cancelled a bit by the armor, and then it will do damage, and, you know, you kind of move on from there. So that is the basics of ship construction. We kind of like broad notes the end, but I mean, like if we were to like fill it all out, you know, I want to give you guys an idea of how you build your ship. I don't want to make the video too long that no one's gonna watch it. And yeah, we're just about approaching the hour mark, so this is a decent point to end it. But yeah, you know, there's I tend to play a lot like the combat in Rogue Trader and 40k games. I tend to play the ship combat a little more kind of, you know, abstract. So I don't have a map where you have to like draw, because that takes too long, especially in a show. I'm much more like they're kind of like they're coming up behind you, and then you maneuver and they maneuver, and then you know you make a turn maneuver, and then they're to your side. You have your batteries, and you can take off a shot, but they take off a shot, then they're gonna ram you. Everyone takes actions, this kind of thing. I find it to be, I think, in a session with friends around a table where you're playing for like 6+ hours, I think it's perfectly acceptable to play it like that with like a map and all this kind of thing. I think in a show over Roll20 and things like that, it's much better to play it abstract. So, you know, the ship combat will be abstract, much like I tend to make the kind of person-to-person combat fairly abstract. So yeah, that's the basics of it. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, those of you who are interested in 40k RP, I do also want to plug my own RP show that I'm going to be doing. You, as viewers, will be able to play as players in the campaign. It's kind of a couple of sessions per thing. It's going to be for my Patreons of $5 or more. With special exceptions made to a few of those people who've been my Patreon, you know, like $1 Patreon for like years. And also I'm gonna have a donation. It's literally a donation, because a lot of the money that will be coming to play in the game will be going straight back into the game, because there's a lot of stuff I need to buy and to like subscribe to get it working, and you know, all this crap. So yeah, it's going to be only war. It's going to be an Imperial Guard campaign. I'm working on getting art, and I'm working on sorting out some of the players who are like content creators, like Twitch streamers, YouTubers who I want on the show. It's possible I may need to delay it back towards March, but we're not sure yet. It's going to depend on a few things, on how much I can get organized. Aside from that, yeah, the Rogue Trader, Metamancer's channel, link in description, should be a lot of fun. I sincerely hope to see you all there, because the last Rogue Trader I did was very funny, was very ridiculous, and I think this one may be even better. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you in Rogue Trader.